Hey, this is Gene. Normally I talk about Manchester United stuff here, some red pill type stuff. Sometimes I go down the rabbit hole and talk about things that people don't want to talk about, like when I say certain things about certain players on Manchester United that they're African, their backgrounds happen to be African, and people tell me they're Jamaican, like they don't understand the difference between all the black people that in Jamaica came from Africa. But I want to talk about my experiences on September 11th, 2001. I was stationed, I was in the military at that time in California. So it was like 6 o'clock in the morning when all this stuff happened. I was out working out on my treadmill, trying to get my weight, in line. Um, and my wife came in there, said something going on in New York. Somebody just happened, and I'm like, I didn't care. I was just getting ready. I was gonna take a shower and get on to work. And at the same time, she was telling me this. My phone rang, and it was my work saying I need to get in. So I knew something was more than just what we were already knowing. Before everybody said it was a terrorist stuff, that there was something else going on. Because the position I worked at was a top secret type of position, and we knew stuff before things happened. Let's say before the public knew. I mean, we knew the background, what was going on. Um, So, of course, I got off the treadmill, took a really quick shower, and got into work. And I worked on the base, but it was still, probably 5 or 10 minute drive again. And of course, on the radio, people were saying shit was going on. And I think on my way in, the second tower got hit. And so when I got in there, everything was going crazy. I was working in a skiff. And though people who don't know what a skiff is those places where you're not allowed to go in there unless you have securities, and it's behind usually like a, how to kind of compare it to, it's a really hard door that you can't get into. Um, some places it's almost as bad as being in, if you watch war games when they try to get in at the end there, the doors are just so hard to get into. But we had, you get a normal, like a vault type of thing. If you go into a bank, you'll see the door that goes to where the money is. You had to have something like that to get into this room, and it's a room that people work, right? So I would say that I worked in the vault or something like that, and I did. We lived in a vault. We worked in a vault, and I got in there, and people that are not normally there were there, like the higher top people were there, the elite and all that stuff. And they trying to figure out what's going on. You can hear things in the background and what's going on, and I can't really mention a whole lot, but we got basically the United States got caught with our pants down when it came to this. There was some intelligence well before saying that would be planes flying into a building, probably in New York. We knew this before, probably knew about 6 months before that. But every day, part of my job was actually reading all that stuff. I can't really go into what I do, but anyway, I worked in a place that we know what was going on. We knew they had shut down NORAD, and NORAD was looking at what was going on, and they made the decision to employ our F-15s, 415s, whatever they were, to go after these planes, especially after the Pentagon got hit and the White House was about to get hit, but unfortunately, or fortunately, it did not happen. And it was a clusterfuck, but there was also a lot of people that kept their minds, and everybody was doing what they had to do that day. Um, it's just one weird things, when even though the job I had was considered top secret, and I knew things about stuff. I worked in the military, so my I mean, what we do in the military is obviously to win, and that what that means. So people will die if we don't do the right things and all that stuff. So um, yeah, we heard a lot of things. We heard a lot. We heard a lot of things. All I can say. But anyway, there was a lot of things going on at that time. We went at that point went 24/7 um, for a while, and yeah, I was working every. I think I played work like 30 or 45 days in a row, 12-hour shifts. Um, I mean, we're getting ready to we were getting ready to seek vengeance on whoever we at that time didn't know did it right. Obviously, there was everybody knew about um, Bin Laden, and everybody in the know knew that he was planning something like this. But it wasn't like should we have done better, of course. But again, they got us when they got us, and you could talk. People could say that it was inside job. Currently, the people that I work with that are very high up in the chain clearly didn't know anything about it. Uh, Later on, when I had to start briefing the actual national level people, um, how can I explain this? Every day we have to brief them because we're right below like the highest level of the military. When we get to this level, or when things happen like this happen, all the stuff that I was working on has some sort of impact. So when it comes to satellites and stuff, you know, I mean, there are a lot of things we can do. If there's somebody that has a different type of satellite system and we need their stuff, if we want to go look over, let's say over Baghdad and see where they're at, and we don't have satellites at that time to see it, we can actually um, either negotiate that imagery, or we can take it anyway. So I'll just say that. Um, and we have the ability to stop it as well. And we're seeing it right now with Elon Musk, is that he's not allowing the Ukraine to get uh, stuff off his own satellites to help them in the war. And he's like, until he said in the Congress actually declares war against Russia, I'm not going to give this stuff to anybody. Why should I? We had this back under in the First World Iraq War. I think Emersat was not giving us stuff, and we ended up giving them, paying millions and millions of dollars so we could look at their stuff. But I'm just saying, we at any time we could have either destroyed their satellites or we could have took it over anyway. But this idea that we don't have some sort of um, capability when it comes to other people's satellites is not real. We do. The problem is we don't have anything that actually hardens our own satellites. If we have, we can go to third world really quick. Everybody could. Although the Chinese and the Russians, and all, they do really well how to harden their satellites, but you could still, we have stuff theoretically that can do whatever we need to do to their satellites as well. It's not like we can't, if they try to do it to us and we do it to them, the same shit would happen. It's like a nuclear thing. We'd still get a couple of them off. You only need to do about 5 or 10 of them in places in Russia that will just devastate them. We don't have to do their entire 2,000 that we have. Um, so that was my day. And like I said, after that, it's just every day, getting up in the morning and doing what you got to do, and then dealing with people and the bureaucracy of all this stuff. Once all this stuff starts happening, and then people that never would see us, other than maybe they might see our colonels, now they were coming into our vault, and we had to brief them every day. And some people will actually listen to the enlisted people. Other people only want to be briefed by like colonels or generals. They didn't want us to give the actual briefings. And you find a whole lot more about people that way. And that was under uh, Bush. Um, and I dealt with Rumsfeld a lot. And all I can say about him is I never liked him. Back then, I was more liberal than I am now, obviously, but um, he was a nice man. And not because it's not like he's like, you're not doing your shit. You're not. I'm giving. Let's say I'm giving a briefing, and he says I don't understand it, and I can't explain it. It was nothing like that. He only wanted certain people to talk to him because he felt that having somebody like me or any other enlisted person was not enough. That he had to have somebody that knew more. And I'm like, I think what he actually like pointed at his chest. I said, I want to see someone who's got wings or something like this. I'm like, I looked at my uh, the guy that was my boss, who's a major, and I looked at him. I said, "He does understand. I'm talking about space. We don't have." The, I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and he's looking, Gene, just relax. And I'm like, at that point, I didn't really give a shit. What is it gonna do? I mean, obviously, he could do something if he wanted to, and everything I did was respectful to him. Um, so, and I think if I remember right, like the second time he did that, I think that major actually stood up for me and said, he's the best guy in the position." I said, "This is the best person we have to talk about it. He's going to tell you what capabilities that we have, what we can actually do if we need it." Because people still didn't know what we were going to do at that point. You know, there was a 30 months or 30 days or so, and then finally we decided to go in Iraq and Afghanistan. I can't really tell you why that happened. Um, I'll just say this, all right? I'll make this statement. This idea that there wasn't any weapons of mass destruction in Iraq at the time that we went in, that is true. The fact that we had intel that said that they clearly had stuff. Obviously, they had the chemical shit. They've always had that. But um, to say that Iraq, when it came to harboring terrorists and all that shit, was innocent is wrong. Now it wasn't enough for us to go in there and kill them at the end. You know, 1 million people dying on both sides. It wasn't that. I think there were other reasons why we were there, and that leads to the other people I talk about on here. The people that actually pretty much run our country don't actually live here. Just to let you know that. And back then, I wasn't into that stuff. You know, I was just like, we were all still shaken for what happened, and of course, we all wanted revenge. And obviously, when we had that shock and awe, I was like, "Oh, that's so great," and I'm like, "This shit does not work." I mean, okay, what is that going to do? Okay, these people have been fighting for thousands of years. This is not going to stop them. And we all knew about what happened with Afghanistan and Vietnam. The idea that we're going to do what we're going to have to do. Anyway, so that was my day. And then right after that, I got assignment to do senior leadership school. And I was shocked that they actually was going to allow us to go there. But even back then, you know, I don't even think, no, they weren't. I don't know how quickly that was. So was it 30 days? Maybe I only worked for like 2 weeks. Then I went and did I went there, and the planes were still not flying at that time. So maybe it was earlier, or maybe I didn't stay there that long. But anyway, I went to that and I did pretty well there. I finished second in the class. Um, then I came back. But yeah, that was my day. I always remember it. Um, I don't believe, well, I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I'm not sure that it was really that there were people in the government that wanted to do this. Do I think that there are people that don't like us that somewhat finance this stuff? I think so. I think it's somewhere in the Middle East. Um, I mean, obviously there was 15 of the 19 were Saudi Arabian citizens. So you have that, and then the the fact that Israel's right there, and they're not really our friend. Uh, uh, I think that maybe I'm not sure that they're behind it. A lot of people thinks that they were, but I think they knew about it and didn't tell us, or they only tell a certain amount of people, and they said, "Oh, it's fine, just let it happen," because they want to get the power that they got from it, and they thought that they'd be able to do, they get a lot more money out of it. And some people got a lot of money, and a lot of people died. Um, yeah, it's like when you got a guy that's running for president saying that the government killed his brother or his uncle, and then his dad. It's like we're in a real we're in a real state right now. But anyway, just let me know what your day was on that day if you were alive at that time. Um, it was interesting. That's all I can say. I mean, I was ready to go, and I can. There are a lot of people that actually joined the military after that. I think DeSantis did that. But and we'll talk about the comments. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.